welcome to another episode of In the Eye of the Hurricane, presented by Coastline Contractors. I'm your host, Chad Choate, joined as always by the head coach of the Manatee Hurricanes, Jacquez Green. Coach, thanks for joining again as we're getting here late in the season. We want to thank all of you for joining us as well as we talk everything Manatee football. We got a lot to talk about. Coach, let's jump into last week. Second round, regional semifinal. Played host to Immokalee, first time ever playing the Immokalee Indians. And they came in 10-1, very good record, good football team. But we really jumped on them early and really kept the throttle going. Ended up winning 54-8 at the end of the night. After you all and the staff reviewed the film, what did you see from the game from last Friday night?
I thought we did a good job of jumping on those guys early. We got the opening kickoff, which is something we haven't done much this year. Usually we start out on defense. So we drove it straight down and got a touchdown and came right back with a block punt. So we had a short field throughout the first half, and we continued to score. And we kind of jumped on them and made them have to get out of what they wanted to do, which is run the football. So once they started going 4 and 5 wides, I knew we had the chance to hold them under their average of running the football for most of the season. So that was in our favor when we made those guys have to throw the ball a lot more.
Well, let's talk a little bit about let's go offense first, and overall, like you say, I thought special teams was great, giving us some of those field positions and things like that. But offensively, very efficient on the night, and even the third downs we had. I think we only had 5 third downs in the night. We were 3 for 5 on third downs, but very, very efficient.
Yeah, we were very efficient. Andrew threw the ball well. The guys caught the ball well. We protected well. We ran the ball when we needed to. It was just overall a very efficient night. He spread the ball around to various receivers, so we did well. Each time we got the football, we moved the ball consistently throughout the night. So I thought we played well on both sides of the football as well as special teams.
Well, sticking on offense, let's first talk about Andrew Heidel. A little dinged up going in the game, but played phenomenal. I mean, threw, I think, for about 213 yards total. Another high completion rate again for him. Several touchdowns as well. And when you talk about Andrew in a quarterback sense of at Manatee High School, he's one of the elites. He's one of the top quarterbacks. I mean, you go from Cord Sandberg and now him in total yards, A.J. Colagiovanni, Breon Carnes kind of round out that top 4 or 5 guys. I mean, he is putting himself into a real top echelon of Manatee quarterbacks. And to kind of be a gutsy performance, a little dinged up, and played really well. For you as a play caller, we know all the attributes and the tangibles that he has and the physical capabilities and that sort of thing. But from you as a play caller standpoint, when you got a guy like that you can rely on that's very good at offense, how much does that help you knowing the quarterback can kind of do what he does?
Well, we're on the same page. When I call a play, Andrew understands what we're trying to attack on the defense. If he's not sure, he'll ask me about it. So I kind of know where he's going to go with the football before the play even starts. Sometimes he'll get muddy reads out there, and he'll look to the sideline to me like, what should I do? And I'll tell him, I might even scream out the receiver name, like throw the ball to him. This play, he should be open. But Andrew is very efficient. He's very accurate. He doesn't have to run the ball for us to win the game. He likes running the ball. He wants to run the ball. But I prefer keeping him in the pocket, keeping him clean, and just let him deliver the football.
Well, I've always thought he's definitely deceivingly athletic, and he's very tough. And I remember it was a couple years, I think his sophomore year, where he had a quarterback sneak that he took into the house about 6 yards. And that's when I realized that he's a pretty darn good athlete. Sticking on the offensive side of the ball, obviously great night again for Jalen, some of the wide receivers, and Andrew does a great job, spraying it all over the field. But somebody that really had a good game passing-wise, reception-wise, was Keyshawn Smith. He only had 6 carries, about 20 yards. Scored a running touchdown, but also scored a screen. Had some other catches in the offense side of the ball. Is that something you guys were looking at, like, hey, we can get the backfield involved in the passing game?
Well, that's another dimension to our passing game. I think Keyshawn now has 5 receiving touchdowns on the year. When we throw in the football well, I think the first thing defenses want to do is try to get pressure on us. So we got to be able to screen the football and not let our offensive line get overwhelmed with guys blitzing us from all different angles. Keyshawn catches the football just as well as our wide receiver. So he's another plus in our passing game.
Well, you talked about it in last week's podcast for the game and kind of the defensive coverage that Immokalee runs, kind of that quarter is kind of deep off of us. And you're exactly right. First several plays of the game, we're running some hitches, some small, kind of get the ball out of Andrew's hands to the wide receivers. And that really played well as the game went on. So obviously kudos on that call. Let's flip to the defense side last week. skunked them 0 up until late, with a minute left in the game or so. You've got to play a lot of guys. What do you, from a defensive side, from last week, a lot of things impressive. What was one of the things that kind of stood out for you from our defense performance last week?
I was impressed of how we recreated the line of scrimmage and the fact that we dominated so much the first 2 or 3 series of the game that they got out of their offense real quick. And started going 4 and 5 wides and trying to throw the football and move the football. That's something they're not was very familiar with. We knew they wouldn't do it very well because they don't do it much coming into that game. So I thought we played tough. We played physical. I thought we really hit their back. They had a big back there. I thought we really hit him real physical. The one time the quarterback tried to keep the ball, I think we knocked the wind out of him. So guys were playing very physical, and that's what you need in the playoffs now. You have to play a physical game. You got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to make teams one-dimensional.
Well, you talk about stopping the run. I mean, Immokalee was coming into the game with 2 right around 1,400-yard rushers, both guys. And at halftime, they had 5 total yards rushing. I think they maybe ended the night somewhere around the 25-30 mark, under 100 total yards offense the whole night. And to me, that was the most surprising thing. I didn't think they were going to throw the ball. Like you said, when they started getting 4 wide, they threw a ball about 15, 16 times until I stopped charting, which is the norm for them, way over their average. So I knew when they started doing that, I knew we'd gotten out of their element, and obviously we were up by several touchdowns. But stopping the run was I agree with you, was the most impressive thing, and setting that line of scrimmage. And we were able to do it even as we got our 2s in and some of our sub-plays, we were still able to do it.
Yeah, we played the run very well. I think the first time they ran the ball, Ronan hit the running back for a loss in the backfield. He reads run plays very well. I thought we were physical on the offensive line. At the end of those guys were taking on 2 and 3 guys and resetting the line of scrimmage. So we did a very good job against the run the other night. I told the guys, coming into this week, and they saw on film that those guys can really run the football. I thought, throughout the night, I thought they may get a run or 2, bust one of them out there, once or twice, and so I had the guys prepared. If they break a long run, just get back and get refocused and play the next play. But we didn't let anything get out of there, any long runs.
I think the longest run was like 5 yards. I mean, legitimately no explosive plays. And when you go back to some of the games that we've lost, the one game we did lose for sure, but also some of the games where it's been closer in competition, it's been explosive plays, right, that kind of get our defense and get them in going. But great overall play by the defense. I mean, we talk about the front 3 all the time, the front 4 all the time, but the linebackers played great. I thought safety coming in, being physical, coming downhill, making plays. All in all, a good night. And typically those defensive guys are the guys who play special teams.
Yeah.
We bounced back after I thought it was a Pinellas Park, obviously giving away a kickoff return for a touchdown, first one all year. Came back and was really strong on special teams.
Yeah, we had our starting kicker back. That made a big difference. He can put some in the end zone. And if he doesn't put him in the end zone, he pins them way to the left or right where we're kicking the football at. The guys covered. We got a lot of our top-notch guys back on kickoff team this week. Those guys are unselfish. A lot of those guys don't start, but we got a few stars on there. But most of them don't start, but they still go down and play very hard and try to get the ball pinned inside the other team's 20-yard line.
And then obviously with punt blocks, obviously our defensive guys are the ones on there. I kind of felt bad for most of the night. I think it was Jalen and maybe Torrey or whoever was back there returning because they weren't really getting much action. Because if we did get it off, it was not a very good kick. But the punt block, obviously being on the sideline. Tell everybody out there, what does that do on the sideline when you get one of those big momentum plays like that, like a punt block or something on special teams, especially that sparks, the momentum? What does that do to the sideline?
It got everybody excited. Early in the game we scored. We got a punt block. Now we got the ball on the 20-yard line. And we knew if we get up on those guys, we can get those guys out of their scheme, out of their offense. You can't run the ball as much when you're down 2 and 3 scores in a football game. Right. You'll just kill a lot of clock. And our defense, they're built, they can play from behind, but they really built to play ahead. We can really get after your passer and get after your defense. Get after your offense. So we did a good job the whole night. And most of the time it's from in. And Alvo just goes hard in there. We've got 4 or 5 block punts.
I love to see when they take the shield on.
We got 4 or 5 block punts. We don't even call block. Yeah. Those guys just go hard. And they got enough self-awareness just, stick their hands up or, push the guy into the punter. And so we get pressure and makes those guys have to punt the ball without even calling the all-out punt block.
Well, I know Ian wanted the touchdown after the block punt for sure. but it rolls out the end zone. Obviously, we get it, and like you say, we score again, and it's all good. Let's move on to especially with the team last week with Immokalee being a run-heavy team. Let's move on to this week against Riverdale Raiders, who I think is even more of a run-heavy team. We'll get into some of that stuff here in a second. But 10-2, Riverdale comes in. They beat Fort Myers in a close game last week to get to their regional final. I mean, I want to say they're relatively newer school. I mean, when I say newer, I mean 20, 30 years. I don't mean within the last decade. But I don't really remember them being any kind of presence in high school football. Obviously, they're down there from the Southwest, in the Fort Myers area. They play a lot of the Fort Myers, North Fort Myers teams. Same kind of group we've been watching, Cape Coral, etc. What do you see from Riverdale, the Raiders, as they come into Joe Canadian Field, Hawkins?
Well, they're similar to Immokalee in the fact they want to run the football. Just about every play is going to be a run, except they're not in a wing T type scheme. They're more of an I formation or shotgun formation, wildcat type deal, and they want to run the football. They have two big backs. One guy's rushed for close to 2,000. The other guy's rushed for like 1,200 yards. So they're going to pound the football. Riverdale is a school that I think I've known them from like weightlifting, I think.
Okay.
I think I look in the paper a lot about weightlifting. I always see Riverdale guys in it, and I think they come out here to some of our weightlifting meets. So
you know they're going to be strong.
Yeah, they're going to be strong up front. They're having their best season they've had in forever. And I think the running back is about to break the record of Chevy Walker. He played at Florida a couple of years ago, about 8 or 9 years ago. He was a big-time back that had 2,000 yards. And I think that was the last time they had this type of team down there. So they're excited. This time of year, you always get these teams who first time doing something in the history of their school. They're excited. They believe in what they do as far as running the football and being physical. So we'll have our work cut out for us tonight to try to stop their run game.
Well, let's talk about the defense first. And since you're talking about their run game, I want to say, at least if Max Preps is correct with the stats, they've thrown 114 times over the year, which is again is extremely surprising in this day and age of high school football and just football in general. It's 9 to 10 a game. I mean, I think some of the youth league teams we have out there double that probably in a week, in a game. But that's their identity. Their identity is running the ball, being physical. You can see that from their offensive line and things like that. So I formations is something that used to be the rave, right? I mean, that was it. I mean, even when you were at Florida, Coach ran the I formation and having the fullbacks, and we've had some Manatee fullbacks go to Florida to play that position. But it's kind of one of those that's even the pros, they get under center much more, but not really an I formation. What does it do from a defense standpoint? You don't see it very often. How do we prepare for that, come Friday?
I think it's an advantage for Riverdale. A lot of defenses never see a lead back or fullback. A lot of people don't know how to line up to I formation anymore. A lot of inside linebackers are not equipped or built to take on fullbacks downhill lead blocking.
So you got to be smaller and more skilled to go.
Most of these run games now are going left to right and zone blocking and stuff like that. But they do some ISO, they do some inside zone, they run some traps. They run a lot of old school run plays that you have to be familiar with, and you have to understand and trust your eyes, and you have to be physical. So what they can do, they can shorten the game. So if they get the run game going, they can shorten the game. They can have our offense on the sideline watching a lot for most of the night. And, sometimes when that happens, offense feel the need to try to score fast and turn the ball back over and press a little bit. So we got to get those guys off the field. We can't give them a bunch of third and short, so we have to play real good first down defense, get them behind the sticks on first down.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. And when I first was watching, was number one, when you run like that, and if you get chunks and you get first downs, especially on third down, you get the first down. Clock is definitely going to play a part in this. I think that if I was playing us, I would want to keep the ball as long as possible and keep our offense off the field. Although obviously our defense could score at any point too. But the one thing too with I formation, you don't see a lot, especially the ISO and things like that. When you have a downhill running scheme like that and a fullback comes in the gap, I think what people don't understand is that creates an extra gap that wasn't originally there. And now you're not their first level, but your second level linebackers to safeties have to be really well coached and really be able to see that fullback coming and where do I attack that guy? Do I attack him on the outside, the inside? Which gap am I taking now that a new one is created? And I know Coach Bate and his staff are going to do a great job with that.
I think the difference in our run defense from the Lowndes game to now is the fact that Ryan Cotton and Parker back there, the safety, they do a great job of coming downhill.
And they're more
making
comfortable
tackles.
for sure.
Yeah. They make tackles in open field. They're comfortable coming downhill, making tackles. Both those guys will throw their body around. They're physical kids. They're not afraid of contact. So we'll have to do a good job on their fullback. He's a big kid, about 210, 215, and he's also a runner. So if they get that trap pop out of there, it can be a big
He's
run.
the guy I think that gets in the shotgun a little bit and does some of the Wildcat stuff.
The starting running back gets in the shotgun, and he does the Wildcat quarterback, and he runs zone read with 10 a lot. So both guys get back there. And we have to be on that. That's the next dimension of their offense once they get out of formation. They get in the Wildcat and get in 12 personnel and try to run the ball and fake jet sweeps and let them run the ball. So we have to be on that. We have to be able to account for all those gaps that they'll create while going 12 personnel. And we have to just be sound and tackle. The main thing is being able to tackle. The best teams this time of year can really tackle and can really get guys on the ground.
Well, I think if there's anything from our defense, I think one of our strong suits is obviously the front seven. And so I like our chances to be able to be physical and match their physicality when they run the ball. So that bodes well for us. Let's talk about their defense against our offense. Defensively, what's their scheme? What do they like to run?
They're a 3-4 defense, similar to Pinellas Park, and as most 3-4 defenses or front defense, as you can call it, they like to bring an extra guy. You have to bring an extra guy to try to get some pressure on the quarterback. They do a few different things on the back end than most teams. They like to play a lot of 3 cloud to any kind of trips formation, which takes away some of the things we like to do it when we get in trips package. And they play some trap coverages where they want to make you throw it in the flats and try to pick it off with the safety giving help over the top to the cornerback. So this week, Andrew has to really be on what they're playing in the secondary, and we have to be on the front, what kind of pressure they bring. They bring a lot of different types of pressures. They'll get us sometimes, but sometimes they'll run themselves out of plays, and we'll get big chunks of running plays. So we have to be real physical up front, and the better we run the ball, the more they'll stay away from that stuff, and they'll just have to line up and play football eventually.
Well, you took. It's like we were ESP right there. I was going to mention running the ball helps all that, right? Help when you run the ball effectively and you're physical. It opens up the run game because now they got to bring some guys in to be able to stop the run. Maybe blitz a little bit more, run blitzes to be able to stop the run, and that opens up the game as you move forward. Real quick, and I may have asked you this early in the year, but to let the folks out there know, do you because we talk about different coverages to what they run compared to our formations, do you all, whether it be you as calling the plays as a staff, do you guys do a chart, like we're going to chart the first 10 plays, or we know if we're in this cover, they show us this coverage, we want to do these couple plays in the beginning of the game to see how they react. Do you guys do that, or is it more of a feel as you got there?
Well, we got certain passes that we carry week to week that's good against any coverage. Like we say GVE, which means good versus everything. And we have a couple of coverages that are specific for a certain coverage they play. We know they're going to play 3 cloud, so we got a couple of pass routes that we want to take advantage of that, the way they're playing their 3 cloud. And also, I'll try to stay out of formations that present 3 cloud. If I know they're good at playing that and we're not good at, we haven't seen that as much, I'll try to stay out of formations where they'll play 3 cloud. So we got some stuff that's good no matter what you play. We got some stuff that's, if they play in this coverage, we throw to this side. If they play in that coverage, we throw to that side. And we got some stuff that, we'll just run the ball with RPOs and throw the ball down the field and just conflict your guys who's supposed to be run fitters or pass droppers. So we try to conflict them. And even if we don't throw it, we make those guys indecisive over time.
Yeah, I mean, you give a split second to Keyshawn or something like that, and he could potentially be out the gate. And I think that's why we're so dangerous on offense is I think that Andrew does such a good job at the RPO, reading that, when to give, when to pass, and that's what really makes our offense move. Before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about this week, Thanksgiving. No school. I know as teachers and stuff, you all don't have to work, but you had to come in for practice. How'd practice go this week, preparing for the regional final here?
It went well. The kids are very excited this week. They like any time they just can practice football and don't have to be at school that day. So it went well. We had some good days of practice. We went first thing in the morning each day. Try to keep their schedule similar to their school schedule. So they have to be to school at 7:30. We'll make them have to be at practice at 7:30 to get going. Gave us a chance to get treatment each and every day like we do during the school year. Even on game day, we take a lift, to get the kids' bodies woken up so they get ready to go. Because most of the time they don't sit around to around noon time and haven't did anything. So we try to get them in some type of football mode.
So for you, I'm and obviously not as an assistant coach and all that. I know you've been firm. This is the farthest you've been so far as a head coach. Is there anybody that you talked to, spoke to about as you got to this distance? And I mean, third round playing, practicing on Thanksgiving, the no school and all that sort of thing. Is there anybody you leaned on to say, hey, and reached out to maybe players that have done it, ex coaches, etc. Just kind of get read their minds, say what did you do, and get any pieces from that.
Well, even when I was an assistant coach, I always prepared like I was a head coach, So if anything happened to the head coach, I can always step in and help take over the team. I think I always prepared myself for these type of times and these type of opportunities. There have been coaches that I reached out to over the years about this kind of stuff, but it's just, to me, it's just another playoff game. I try to make the kids realize it's just another game. We're playing another opponent. I don't want the kids to get too anxious and uptight about certain games. I let them know that we can beat this team if we play our game, we play sound, and we play smart. So, and that's the way we're looking at it.
One last thing, Florida State, big weekend, Saturday. What's your thoughts on the Florida State game?
I think we got a chance to beat those guys. I think we're the better team this year. Obviously, they can't score many points.
Right.
I think the most they've scored maybe 16, 17 points in the last 10 weeks. So, but the worst thing could happen to our program if we go to Tallahassee or wherever the game is played and lose this game. That'll be bad. So I think we got a chance to beat those guys, and they'll cap off a solid season for us, based on how it started.
Sure.
And we'll be in the playoff game, not playoff game. We'll be in a bowl game and have a chance to play again and give our young talent some more weeks to practice.
Yeah, well, I knew I had to ask because it's a big game, big rivalry weekend. So, Coach, I want to thank you for joining us. You out there, we want to thank you for joining us as well here on In the Eye of the Hurricane. We look forward to seeing everybody Friday night, Joe Kinnan Field at Hawkins Stadium, 7:30 kickoff. You can get your tickets on GoFan.co as we take on the Riverdale Raiders in the third round of the FHSAA playoffs. As always, go Canes, go.